In the beginning, there was only the quiet murmur of the void, a vast expanse unbroken, unending, and yet, somehow, alive with possibility. In this endless darkness drifted the first whispers of knowledge, delicate and serpentine, curling through the unseen corners of the cosmos. This is the realm where Hermaeus Mora, the Daedric Prince of fate and memory, makes his dominion, a place called Apocrypha, a labyrinth of ink and shadows, of floating shelves that stretch beyond mortal comprehension, of books that murmur when you are near and sigh when you turn away. Apocrypha is not like the lands of Tamriel. It has no sun, no wind, no seasons. Instead, it breathes in a slow, eternal rhythm, pulsing with the hunger of secrets yet untold. Its waters are black and reflective, showing not the face of the onlooker, but the outline of the thoughts they have buried deep in their mind. The shelves rise from these waters like dark monoliths, endless rows of tomes and scrolls bound in leathers that seem to shift and breathe, titles that writhe and rearrange themselves if observed too closely. One could walk its corridors for eternity, drifting from one whisper to another, and never stumble twice upon the same path. Hermaeus Mora himself is rarely seen, yet he is everywhere. He does not speak with words as mortals do. His voice is felt in the tremor of turning pages, in the sudden understanding that comes unbidden, in the quiet revelation that fills the chest with warmth and the mind with awe. Mortals who enter Apocrypha often feel a tremble at the edge of comprehension, a sense that the universe is far larger, far stranger than they ever dared imagine. The Daedric Prince thrives on this delicate tension, the yearning for knowledge and the fear of its cost. It is a gentle, constant pressure, a lullaby for the mind, drawing scholars and dreamers alike into the silent embrace of discovery. Yet, even in this vastness, there is a rhythm, a quiet pulse that can soothe the restless heart. Each shelf, each scroll, each quivering shadow holds a fragment of eternity. The knowledge here is not just to be read. It is to be absorbed, to drift with, to allow oneself to become part of the current that carries thought into thought, memory into memory. It is a place where curiosity is met with patience, where every secret, if approached gently, will reveal itself in time. To wander here is to feel both small and infinite. One becomes a whisper among whispers, a shadow among shadows, carried on the slow, ceaseless tide of revelation. And in the quiet corners of the mind, one begins to sense the nature of Hermaeus Mora, not as a being to be feared, but as a custodian of truths too delicate, too immense for mortal reckoning. He watches, he waits, and he invites. He invites all who are willing to surrender their hurry, their urgency, their worldly clamor, into a soft, endless contemplation. Here, in the ink-dark waters and the labyrinth of floating knowledge, the mind begins to loosen. Thoughts that clung tightly to the edges of consciousness begin to drift, untangle, and find their place among the silent tomes. The whispers grow gentle, repeated in quiet waves, a cadence that feels like breathing itself. And in that cadence, one may feel the first touch of Apocrypha's secret gift, the understanding that knowledge is not just to be acquired. It is to be experienced slowly, carefully, as one might float down a slow, endless river, guided by the unseen hand of a prince who sees all, yet asks nothing. As the night deepens and the world of Tamriel lies silent under the moon's watchful gaze, the mind enters the realm of quiet learning. Here, whispers become the lullaby of ink and thought, drawing the listener ever inward into the vast, soft, and infinite embrace of Hermaeus Mora's domain. And as one drifts further, ever so gently, there is the subtle awareness that every secret in Apocrypha is alive, not demanding, not urgent, but ready to reveal itself to those who move with patience and curiosity. The deeper one drifts into Apocrypha, the more the world of Tamriel seems to fade, like a candle guttering against the vast darkness. Time loses its rigid form here. Minutes stretch into hours. hours into something eternal, measured not in the ticking of a clock, but in the gentle sway of floating shelves, the slow curl of inked whispers rising from ancient scrolls. Each tome is alive, not in a way that startles, but in a quiet, resonant manner, as if it breathes alongside the reader, waiting patiently for attention, for the gentle touch of a curious mind. As one glides along the black, reflective waters, the whispers of knowledge grow more distinct. They do not shout, they do not demand. They murmur like soft wind through the cracks of a forgotten library, brushing against the edges of consciousness, stirring questions that have long slept. Here, one might encounter histories of forgotten empires, the quiet musings of scholars who dared too much, or hints of truths so delicate that even speaking them aloud would alter their meaning. And yet, there is no fear, only the reverent sense that all these whispers exist to guide, to illuminate, and to lull the mind into gentle contemplation. The architecture of Apocrypha is unlike anything mortal eyes have ever seen. Shelves float without support, stacked impossibly high, curving in impossible angles, twisting in ways that feel natural only when observed in the half-light of the void. Books hover midair, drifting slowly as though caught in an unseen current, their covers shimmering with faint, restless sigils. One can reach out, brush fingertips across the bindings, and feel a warmth, a gentle pulse as if the knowledge within recognizes the seeker and offers a quiet greeting. Here, Hermaeus Mora's presence is a lullaby, subtle yet persistent. Not in words, but in sensation, a shifting of thought, a brush of understanding at the edge of awareness. Mortals who wander too quickly, too eagerly, may find the whispers slipping past them, teasing, never yielding. But those who move slowly, with patience and care, find that every motion, every breath, brings them closer to revelation. Knowledge is not seized in Apocrypha. It is absorbed, allowed to seep into the mind in delicate increments, like sunlight filtering through deep water. And yet, even in this softness, there is a profound sense of infinity. The shelves seem to stretch endlessly, as if the library itself is a living manifestation of thought, a universe in which every idea, every secret, every possibility finds a place. One begins to sense the rhythm of Apocrypha, the gentle ebb and flow of insight, the way understanding rises and recedes, never rushed, always present. In this rhythm, the mind finds calm, the heart slows, and the soul drifts as if on invisible currents, carried deeper into the embrace of the Daedric Prince. It is easy here to forget the world outside, the night of Tamriel, the rustle of leaves, the distant cries of wind across mountain peaks, all fade into insignificance. In their place arises a profound stillness, punctuated only by the murmur of pages, the subtle, almost musical resonance of the scrolls, and the faint, omnipresent pulse of Hermaeus Mora's awareness. It is a stillness that invites reflection, not of one's deeds, but of one's capacity for understanding, for patient curiosity, for quiet wonder. The whispers draw closer now, more insistent yet still gentle, like soft waves brushing against a shore. Each murmur is a brushstroke on the canvas of the mind, forming shapes that are not yet clear, ideas that are felt before they are fully known. The seeker drifts along these currents, absorbing fragments of wisdom, glimpses of forbidden truths, and a delicate thrill of secrets barely glimpsed. And all the while, the realm hums around them, endless, patient, eternal, a cradle of thought that rocks gently, softly, carrying the listener ever onward. In this infinite library, the heart begins to synchronize with the rhythm of the whispers. Breathing slows, muscles relax. The mind, which once clung to the urgency of day, now drifts freely among the shelves, each scroll a stepping stone into deeper contemplation. And somewhere, beneath it all, the unseen hand of Hermaeus Mora guides with subtlety, nudging the seeker toward those truths that are ready to be understood, allowing the rest to remain just out of reach, a promise whispered only to the patient and the willing. And so the journey begins, not with haste, not with ambition, but with gentle surrender. The scholar, the dreamer, the listener, all are invited to float through this endless void, to drift with the currents of ink and shadow, to feel the quiet majesty of forbidden knowledge, and to allow the lull of Apocrypha to guide them deeper into the silence, deeper into the whispers, and deeper into themselves. Hermaeus Mora, the Daedric Prince of knowledge, is neither wholly benevolent nor wholly cruel. He is an eternal presence, a force beyond mortal understanding, whose dominion encompasses both revelation and concealment. Mortals who whisper his name feel a strange warmth and unease, a recognition that some truths are vast and delicate, meant to be handled with patience and reverence. He is the keeper of secrets too complex, too infinite, to be cataloged in any library of Tamriel. Yet he offers them freely to those willing to listen, to those who approach with quiet curiosity and a gentle heart. In the minds of scholars, Mora manifests as a subtle vibration at the edge of thought. It is felt more than heard, a shiver of comprehension that travels along the spine, a soft tug in the chest, as if urging one to look deeper, to ponder longer, to allow the questions themselves to take shape. He does not command, he suggests. He does not demand obedience, he cultivates patience. To encounter him is to feel the weight of infinity, yet to sense it wrapped in a velvet calm, as though the endless secrets themselves are a lullaby, coaxing the mind toward reflection rather than fear. Mortals are drawn to Mora for many reasons. Some seek power, others knowledge, and still others are driven by an insatiable curiosity, a longing to peer behind the veil of the known world. Apocrypha becomes a mirror to their desires, reflecting not just what they wish to find, but what they are ready to comprehend. The scrolls and tomes respond to the seeker's mind, bending their words, shifting their meanings, allowing understanding to unfold slowly, in a cadence that aligns with the natural rhythm of thought and dream. There is a gentle reciprocity here. The more the mortal listens, the more the secrets reveal themselves. The more they resist, the more the knowledge drifts beyond reach, teasing, patient, and eternal. Hermaeus Mora's influence extends beyond the confines of Apocrypha. In the waking world of Tamriel, scholars who have glimpsed even a fraction of his realm carry a quiet mark, a subtle shift in perception. They notice patterns where none were seen, understand meanings without words, and feel the pull of questions that never existed before. To know Mora is to understand that knowledge is alive, flowing, and sometimes dangerous, but always mesmerizing. Each secret learned is a step deeper into the labyrinth, a thread connecting the mortal mind to something infinite, something beyond comprehension, yet ever present. Despite his enigmatic nature, there is a rhythm to Mora's dominion, a cadence that can soothe even the most restless of minds. The Daedric Prince does not rush the seeker. He allows the flow of understanding to follow its own gentle tide. One may drift along, touching fragments of forbidden truths, and in that drifting, one discovers a calm so profound that the boundaries between self and knowledge blur, dissolving into a soft, meditative awareness. It is not merely learning. It is becoming part of the living weave of ideas, histories, and possibilities, each whisper a lullaby, each revelation a gentle nudge toward inner stillness. In moments of quiet reflection, one may sense that Mora is watching, not with judgment, but with a patient curiosity akin to a parent observing a child learning to walk. He sees the paths taken, the steps skipped, the questions pondered in silence. He does not intervene unless the seeker is ready. He does not punish curiosity, only guides it, allowing the mind to wander freely among the shelves of thought, to touch the edges of understanding without fear. And as the night deepens, the soul finds itself cradled in the soft, infinite embrace of knowledge, lulled by whispers that stretch across time and space, carrying one gently into the quiet recesses of contemplation. In this way, The Daedric Prince of Secrets is both a guardian and a guide. His realm, Apocrypha, is an extension of his mind, a space where knowledge flows endlessly, yet carefully, offering solace to those who seek and patience to those who wait. And so, as the listener drifts further into these words, further into the murmuring echoes of ancient secrets, they may feel the first brush of understanding. That knowledge, in its purest form, is not a treasure to seize, but a tide to follow, gentle and eternal, inviting the mind to surrender and the heart to rest. In the silent corridors of Apocrypha, the influence of Hermaeus Mora is felt in subtle, almost imperceptible ways. Mortals who linger too long may notice the air itself seems to shimmer, not with heat, but with thought. The boundaries between self and knowledge blur, as if the mind becomes a channel for the whispers of the infinite. Mora does not compel. He coaxes, like a gentle tide brushing against the shore, moving the sands of understanding in quiet, deliberate rhythms. Every step taken along the floating shelves is a step deeper into a labyrinth of ideas, dreams, and truths that exist beyond mortal reckoning. His dominion teaches a delicate lesson. Knowledge carries both illumination and shadow. Those who seek answers too eagerly may feel the weight of secrets before they are ready, a subtle tightening in the chest, a brief shiver of apprehension. And yet, even in this gentle warning, there is no malice. Mora's touch is never harsh. It is the careful brushing of thought against thought, the patient guidance of a seeker toward revelations that are ready to be received. In this slow unfolding, the mind begins to relax, attuned to the ebb and flow of understanding, like a leaf drifting in a slow, endless river of ink and shadow. To walk the halls of Apocrypha is to drift through a realm where time bends to the rhythm of thought. One may encounter tomes that contain histories of civilizations long forgotten, or scrolls that whisper prophecies no mortal could fully grasp. Every page, every word, is imbued with the presence of Mora, yet the Daedric Prince never intrudes. Instead, he allows the seeker to approach, to touch, and to absorb at their own pace. It is a slow, meditative dance between curiosity and comprehension, where the act of seeking itself becomes as significant as the knowledge obtained. Mortals often find that their understanding deepens not through effort, but through patience. In the hush of Apocrypha, the mind settles like sediment in still water. Thoughts that once raced and tangled begin to drift gently, weaving connections between ideas previously unconsidered. In this quiet, Mora's lessons unfold. The pursuit of knowledge is not a race, but a journey, measured not in acquisition, but in reflection. Each revelation is a whisper, each insight a delicate thread connecting the seeker to the eternal rhythm of the prince's realm. Yet, the prince is not merely a giver of comfort. He is a guardian of limits, reminding the mortal mind that some truths are too vast to be grasped all at once. This duality is the essence of his domain, the soft allure of forbidden knowledge, balanced by the gentle insistence that the mind move slowly, observe carefully, and respect the infinite. In this balance, there is a meditative quality, a lullaby of thought and shadow that encourages the soul to breathe, to relax, and to absorb the subtleties of understanding in measured waves. As the hours pass in this timeless void, the seeker feels the pulse of Apocrypha beneath their senses, a rhythm of comprehension and wonder that mirrors the heartbeat of Mora himself. Knowledge flows not as a torrent, but as a calm stream, guiding each thought into resonance with the eternal currents of the void. And in this alignment, there is a serenity unlike any found in the waking world, a sense that the universe is vast, mysterious, and yet infinitely gentle when approached with reverence and patience. The Daedric Prince's subtle guidance leaves the mind cradled, not overwhelmed. Whispers of forbidden truths rise and fall like soft waves, wrapping the soul in quiet contemplation. It is here, amid the floating shelves and reflective black waters, that the mortal heart learns a profound truth. The pursuit of understanding need not be urgent. The acquisition of wisdom need not be forced. In Apocrypha, every secret waits patiently, ready to reveal itself in its own time, to those who move with gentle curiosity, and to those who listen not just with ears, but with the quiet expanses of the mind itself. And so, the journey through the dominion of Hermaeus Mora continues, slow and unhurried, a meditation in motion, a lullaby of thought, shadow, and ink that carries the listener deeper into the endless embrace of the Prince of Secrets, guiding them gently toward the mysteries that lie just beyond the edge of comprehension, yet forever within reach of the patient heart. The first steps into Apocrypha feel like stepping into a dream stitched from ink and shadow. The mind drifts, untethered from the constraints of the waking world, guided by a gentle current that hums with the quiet presence of Hermaeus Mora. Every movement is slow, deliberate, as though even the act of thought might disturb the delicate balance of this endless library. Here, corridors curve in impossible arcs, shelves rise and fall like waves frozen mid-motion, and the black waters beneath reflect not the seeker's face, but the unspoken patterns of their own curiosity. The air is thick with the scent of old parchment, of leather bound with secrets, yet it carries no weight, only a soft resonance that seems to settle into the bones, coaxing the body and mind into stillness. Shadows move independently, drifting across shelves and tomes as though alive, yet they never startle. They're companions to the seeker, guiding the eye toward texts whose pages flutter with quiet insistence. Here, knowledge is not imposed, it invites. Every whisper, every subtle shift in the air is a gentle beckoning, a suggestion that the next step may lead to something extraordinary, if only approached with patience. To float along the corridors of Apocrypha is to feel both small and infinite. The shelves stretch endlessly in every direction, their contents impossible to count or categorize. Some tomes glow faintly with shifting runes, as if they carry messages meant to be felt more than read. Others murmur, soft syllables curling around the edges of consciousness, teasing thought into gentle reflection. The mind, accustomed to the hurried rhythms of the mortal world, begins to slow, its pulse aligning with the subtle tides of the library. Time is not measured by hours or minutes, but by the ebb and flow of comprehension, the gentle unfolding of insight, the soft cadence of whispering pages. Here, every shadow, every floating book, every ripple in the black water seems to respond to the seeker's presence. A hand brushing across a leather-bound volume may stir it to life, letters rearranging themselves, forming words that are both known and mysterious, as though the library itself recognizes the intent of the reader. Yet there is no urgency, no pressure. Apocrypha is patient. It teaches that knowledge is not a prize to be seized in haste, but a tide to move with, allowing the seeker to drift through layers of understanding at their own pace. Even the sound of one's own breath becomes part of the melody of this place. Inhalations and exhalations merge with the soft, persistent murmur of countless tomes, creating a rhythm that is at once personal and universal. Every heartbeat feels magnified, aligned with the pulse of hidden truths, until the body itself seems to float, weightless, a passenger on the slow currents of discovery. Here, the line between self and library blurs, and the act of seeking knowledge becomes an act of surrender, a gentle, meditative letting go into the embrace of Apocrypha. The further one moves, the more intricate the patterns of the library appear. Staircases twist impossibly, floating steps leading to nowhere and everywhere. Arches bend in ways that challenge perception, and corridors fold back upon themselves, creating loops that feel like echoes of thought. And yet, none of this startles. Rather, it mesmerizes, drawing the mind deeper into reflection, encouraging gentle curiosity, quiet observation, and the patient unfolding of understanding. In the half-light of Apocrypha, shadows dance with ink, shelves ripple with soft life, and the air hums with secrets waiting, patient, eternal, and calm. It is a realm that invites the seeker to move slowly, to observe, to breathe, to allow their mind to drift freely among thoughts and whispers. In this drifting, one begins to sense the first touch of revelation. Knowledge is not a conquest, but a voyage. And the journey itself, taken with patience and openness, is its own reward, a quiet lullaby for the mind, soul, and spirit, guiding the listener ever deeper into the mysterious, infinite embrace of Hermaeus Mora's domain. As the seeker drifts further into Apocrypha, the corridors widen into vast halls, ceilings lost in shadow, shelves stacked impossibly high with tomes that seem to hum with a life of their own. The black waters below ripple faintly, reflecting not the mortal gaze but the faint outlines of thoughts, memories, and questions the visitor may not yet know they possess. Each step taken is cushioned by the quiet murmur of knowledge, soft as a lullaby, guiding the mind to slow, to breathe, to attune to the rhythm of this endless, silent ocean of secrets. Floating books drift past, brushing fingertips as though recognizing the presence of one who seeks without haste. Some open as they pass, revealing pages that curl with faint, silvered letters, words that form, dissolve, and reform in patterns that are at once comprehensible and mysterious. These tomes do not demand attention. They invite the mind to wander gently, teasing curiosity, awakening wonder, and encouraging reflection. Even the most hesitant scholar feels a subtle pull, a quiet suggestion that each book holds something meant uniquely for them, something to be absorbed slowly, like the tide rolling over smooth stones. In this labyrinth, perception becomes fluid. Corridors twist and fold, staircases spiral impossibly, and halls appear to stretch infinitely. Yet the mind does not feel lost. Instead, it feels cradled, as though the very architecture of Apocrypha exists to soothe, to guide, and to awaken quiet reflection. Shadows drift alongside, stretching and contracting, forming shapes that hint at forgotten histories, lost knowledge, or dreams that never fully took form. They whisper without words, their presence a gentle affirmation that every step forward is part of a delicate dance between seeker and library. Here, the subtle influence of Hermaeus Mora is ever present. It is not in sight, not in sound, but in the gentle tug at the mind's edges, the soft resonance that aligns thought with discovery. Some secrets reveal themselves immediately. Others hover at the periphery, teasing the imagination, allowing contemplation to bloom. The Daedric Prince teaches patience in this manner, demonstrating that knowledge is a tide, not a torrent, and that understanding arrives most fully when one allows oneself to drift, unhurried, through layers of thought and shadow. Time bends in Apocrypha, folding upon itself with the grace of ink spilling on water. Minutes, hours, perhaps days pass unnoticed, marked only by the movement of drifting shelves and the slow, pulsing hum of the library itself. Each whisper of a page, each shimmer of letters, becomes part of a rhythm that synchronizes with the seeker's breath. The mind, which once raced with mortal concerns, begins to float freely, carried by the currents of reflection, insight, and soft, persistent curiosity. In this stillness, one perceives the vastness of knowledge not as intimidating, but as gentle and infinite, a cradle for thought itself. As the journey continues, the hallways begin to converge, forming patterns that feel familiar yet strange, like memories half remembered in the haze of sleep. Floating tomes arrange themselves in subtle alignments. Letters shimmer and shift, and soft currents of ink seem to reach toward the seeker, offering whispers that resonate deep within. It is an intimate experience, an embrace of the mind by the eternal, patient rhythm of the library, and a reminder that each step taken with calm curiosity brings one closer to understanding the delicate balance between revelation and mystery. And so the voyage unfolds, not hurried, not forced, but guided by a gentle hand, an invisible current that moves the seeker through endless halls, past whispering tomes, over black, reflective waters. Every movement is a meditation, every glance a reflection, and every whisper a lullaby for the mind. In Apocrypha, the journey itself becomes the destination, a serene passage into the infinite, a gentle drift into the quiet, eternal embrace of Hermaeus Mora, the Daedric Prince of secrets, whose presence lingers softly at the edge of thought, always patient, always inviting, always infinite. Among the endless shelves of Apocrypha, some tomes hold a power distinct from others, vibrating softly with a presence that is at once ancient and alive. These are the Elder Scrolls, rare and sacred relics whose words ripple across time, their meanings twisting and folding upon themselves like smoke in a gentle wind. To touch an Elder Scroll is to feel the pulse of destiny, the subtle hum of events yet to come and moments long past, entwined in patterns only glimpsed by the patient and the willing. They do not speak loudly, they murmur. Their language is a quiet rhythm, a cadence that seeps into the mind, coaxing understanding with each heartbeat. The scrolls exist both within and beyond comprehension. Their letters shimmer faintly, dancing across the page, forming shapes that shift with the thoughts of the reader. Mortals who gaze upon them may find themselves glimpsing truths too vast to fully grasp, visions of history and prophecy intertwined, like reflections on dark water, always moving, never still. Yet in this gentle turbulence, there is no fear, only the soft invitation to observe, to listen, and to drift with the subtle current of understanding that the scrolls provide. Each Elder Scroll carries its own temperament, its own cadence, and its own secret lullaby. Some offer whispers of guidance, subtle suggestions that brush against the edges of consciousness. Others murmur warnings, their meanings half-veiled, urging patience and careful reflection. The careful reader begins to notice patterns, repetitions, echoes across the pages, a quiet rhythm that mirrors the slow pulse of Apocrypha itself. The scrolls are alive in the softest sense, sensing the seeker's attention and responding in kind, revealing fragments of truth that are both comforting and profoundly enigmatic. To read an Elder Scroll is to enter a dialogue not of words, but of thought and sensation. Each letter is a soft vibration in the mind, each phrase a gentle wave that carries the seeker further along a stream of insight. The mind begins to drift, untangling layers of meaning without force, as though the understanding were already there, waiting to be discovered in the quiet spaces between words. In this way, the scrolls teach patience, reverence, and the slow unfolding of knowledge, allowing the soul to float gently within the currents of prophecy and memory. Even the act of holding a scroll brings a sense of calm. The weight is paradoxical, simultaneously immense and intangible. One feels the breadth of time folded into delicate parchment, the resonance of countless lifetimes compressed into symbols that shimmer with infinite possibility. Breath slows, muscles relax, and the mind attunes to the subtle pulse of the universe itself. It is a sensation of quiet awe, a recognition that knowledge is both infinite and intimate, a companion that hums softly in rhythm with the seeker's heart. The murmurs of the scrolls intertwine with the ambient whispers of Apocrypha, forming a gentle symphony of thought, shadow, and ink. Here, the boundaries between self and destiny soften. The reader becomes both observer and participant, drifting in a calm, meditative journey through the strands of fate, guided not by urgency, but by patient curiosity and gentle attention. Each subtle ripple of meaning, each echo of time, is a step deeper into understanding, a soft embrace from a realm that values observation, reflection, and the slow, serene absorption of wisdom. In the quiet half-light of the library, one comes to sense the first truth of the Elder Scrolls. They do not yield knowledge at command. They offer it in moments of readiness, in gentle waves that rise and fall, inviting the seeker to drift, to absorb, to reflect. They are not merely objects of study. They are living conduits of time and thought, their murmured messages a lullaby for the mind, a gentle invitation to float among the infinite, patient currents of apocrypha, and to awaken slowly to the beauty and subtlety of what is known and yet to be known. The whispers of the Elder Scrolls grow more intimate as the seeker drifts deeper among their shelves. They do not speak in ordinary words. Their voice is a vibration in the mind, a faint, persistent hum that resonates with thought, memory, and curiosity. Each glance upon the parchment awakens visions of possibility, moments yet to unfold, echoes of what has already passed, and hidden threads of fate that twist and fold like ink spilling into still water. The scrolls do not demand comprehension. They invite reflection, coaxing the mind to follow the currents of thought at its own pace. To hold an elder scroll is to feel the subtle weight of infinity in the palms, a quiet reminder that knowledge and destiny are intertwined. Patterns emerge in the letters, but they are fluid, never fixed. One may sense the faint outline of a prophecy, only to watch it shift as thought drifts and attention wanders. This is the gentle rhythm of apocrypha itself. The understanding comes in waves, rising and falling, never hurried, never forced. The mind learns to float with these currents, absorbing fragments of insight like sunlight, filtering through rippling water. Some scrolls hum with histories long forgotten, chronicling empires and heroes, moments of triumph and despair. Others murmur with warnings, subtle echoes of hubris and folly, teaching patience and reverence. Even the quietest syllables carry a resonance that seeps into the heart, drawing the seeker deeper into contemplation. In this realm, knowledge is not a possession, but a companion, alive, patient, and eternal, inviting one to drift, to observe, and to rest within the gentle embrace of understanding. The experience of reading an Elder Scroll is as much physical as it is mental. The air itself seems to vibrate softly, a gentle pressure that encourages breathing in sync with the pulsing of the inked words. Muscles relax, thoughts untangle. The mind becomes a vessel, open and receptive, as visions and whispers rise and fall like soft waves, guiding the seeker toward truths that are not seized but discovered, not forced but allowed to bloom in quiet, meditative awareness. As the seeker moves from one scroll to another, patterns of light and shadow dance across the pages, letters shimmering faintly as though alive. Each scroll reacts subtly to attention, bending its message toward comprehension, yet always preserving mystery. The mind feels simultaneously small and infinite, a witness to the vast web of knowledge that stretches across time, yet intimately connected to each fragment of truth. It is a lullaby of thought, a soft cadence that lulls the mind into calm reflection, drawing it gently into the currents of destiny whispered by the scrolls. The Elder Scrolls teach a delicate lesson. Knowledge is not to be rushed, and understanding is not a prize. Each insight comes in its own time, a gift of quiet revelation for those willing to wait, to drift, to let the currents guide them. In this meditative journey, the seeker discovers the rhythm of apocrypha and the subtle hand of Hermaeus Mora, patient, observant, infinitely gentle. The scrolls murmur their secrets softly, inviting one to float deeper into the realm of shadow, ink, and time, and to feel the serenity that comes with understanding a fragment of infinity without the need to grasp it fully. And so, amid the floating shelves and black, reflective waters, the seeker drifts further into contemplation, carried on the currents of whispered prophecy and ancient memory. The scrolls do not end, nor do they demand. They offer a gentle, endless invitation to explore, reflect, and rest. Here, in the hush of apocrypha, the mind learns the softest truth of all, that wisdom is not measured by comprehension alone, but by the ability to surrender, to float, and to be cradled in the quiet, eternal rhythm of the infinite. Within the shadowed halls of apocrypha, the whispers grow more layered, carrying echoes of mortals who dared to seek forbidden knowledge. Each voice is like a gentle ripple on black water, soft and haunting, blending with the ever-present murmur of floating tomes. These are the scholars, mages, and dreamers who ventured too far, whose curiosity brushed against the infinite tapestry of secrets. Their tales are not told with alarm, nor with sharp caution. They are a soft cadence, a reflective lullaby that invites the listener to drift, to ponder, and to learn without fear. Some voices speak of triumph, of understanding gained after long patience. Others carry a subtle melancholy, the quiet regret of lessons learned too late. In each story, there is a rhythm, a pattern of desire, discovery, and delicate consequence. Mortals who reach into the depths of Apocrypha may find knowledge blooming like a gentle tide, yet with every revelation comes a hint of the infinite beyond, a reminder that not all truths are meant to be fully grasped. The whispers encourage reverence, an awareness that the pursuit of wisdom is as much about restraint as it is about curiosity. To wander here is to feel time fold upon itself. Past and present coexist in a gentle interplay, where the successes and failures of those who came before are suspended in quiet resonance. Each voice, each tale, is a thread in a vast tapestry woven by Hermaeus Mora, a tapestry that hums with the soft, endless rhythm of comprehension and consequence. Listening to these stories, the seeker begins to sense the subtle harmony of the forbidden, knowledge offered freely, yet wrapped in the gentle enigma of risk and understanding. The mortal's voices speak not only in words, but in sensation. A quiver of excitement, a shiver of anticipation, a quiet sigh of comprehension, all ripple outward, brushing against the consciousness of those who float nearby. The mind begins to move with these currents, absorbing the lessons slowly, like ink spreading on still parchment. Here, the act of listening itself becomes a meditation, a gentle practice of awareness, patience, and calm reflection. One learns to perceive the boundaries between curiosity and caution, between wonder and hubris, and to drift comfortably within those edges. Even the silent margins of Apocrypha seem to speak. Shadows curl over empty shelves, ink fades and reforms, and the reflective waters carry memories of those who lingered, those who left, and those who vanished entirely into the infinite. These echoes are neither ominous nor threatening. They are soft reminders that the pursuit of forbidden knowledge is a journey, not a conquest. To listen, to feel, to allow the whispers to wash over the mind, is to participate in a rhythm older than Tamriel itself, a tide that teaches patience, humility, and the quiet joy of understanding even the smallest fragment of what is hidden. In this gentle meditation, the mortal heart learns a delicate balance. Curiosity is honored, questions are encouraged, and the mind is invited to explore without haste. Every whisper of the forbidden carries a dual purpose: to reveal and to reflect, to comfort and to caution, to guide the seeker through corridors of thought and shadow at a pace that nurtures calm contemplation. And as the night deepens, the soul begins to float among these voices, cradled by their soft resonance, aware that knowledge, especially forbidden knowledge, is a companion that can soothe as much as it can illuminate, if approached with care and reverence. The subtle hum of these tales intertwines with the rhythm of Apocrypha itself, forming a gentle symphony of shadow and understanding. The mind drifts effortlessly, attuned to the quiet cadences of past seekers, aware that every story carries both a lesson and a lullaby. Here, in the endless expanse of ink, shadow, and whispering shelves, the mortal spirit discovers a profound calm. That to encounter the forbidden is not to be consumed, but to be gently guided, floating safely on currents of curiosity, reflection, and patient insight. As the seeker drifts deeper among the whispering echoes of Apocrypha, the stories of mortals unfold like a slow, quiet river. Each voice carries a lesson, not shouted, but felt, a gentle reminder that knowledge, especially the forbidden, flows in tandem with consequence. Some tell of brilliance attained through patient study, insights that shimmered like silver light on dark waters. Others murmur softly of missteps, of curiosity untempered, of secrets glimpsed too eagerly, and the subtle unraveling that followed. Yet even these warnings carry no fear, only the calm resonance of understanding, like ripples that fade slowly across a still pond. The lessons of the forbidden are never abrupt. They drift into the mind, mingling with thought and reflection, guiding the seeker to a soft awareness that every action, every question, every yearning for truth carries weight. The whispers encourage patience, revealing that the pursuit of hidden knowledge is a journey best taken with gentle attention, like following the arc of moonlight across water. The mind learns to move in harmony with this rhythm, to breathe in step with the cadence of insight and reflection, and to surrender to the subtle flow of understanding. Here, in the quiet recesses of Apocrypha, the seeker may sense that even mistakes are embraced, woven into the endless tapestry of learning. Mortals who press too far too fast left behind echoes that shimmer faintly in the air, guiding others without judgment. Shadows of their choices ripple among the shelves, forming delicate patterns in the black water, faint shapes that invite contemplation rather than dread. Each whisper becomes a meditation, each echo a lullaby that teaches the balance between desire and restraint, curiosity and reverence. The influence of Hermaeus Mora remains ever present, but it is soft, subtle, and patient. It is a current that nudges the mind gently, never forcing, never imposing, only offering guidance to those who drift willingly. Mortals who listen to the voices of the forbidden come to understand that knowledge is not simply acquired. It is absorbed, integrated, and felt. Each insight floats into awareness like a leaf on water. Each lesson ripples through thought, leaving gentle traces of wisdom and reflection in its wake. Even the air in Apocrypha seems imbued with memory. Faint murmurs drift from empty shelves, ghostly fragments of once vivid questions and long-past studies. The mind is invited to consider these echoes without urgency, to reflect on the nature of curiosity and the quiet grace of learning. Here, the seeker discovers that the forbidden is not dangerous in the way mortals imagine. It is vast, infinite, and delicate, demanding patience, respect, and the gentle attention of one who moves slowly, with reverence and mindfulness. In the hush of this infinite library, every ripple, every whisper, every shadow contributes to a soft symphony of understanding. The mortal heart begins to float in tandem with the cadence of the forbidden, absorbing lessons without strain, observing patterns without haste, and allowing the mind to drift freely through the currents of subtle knowledge. Even the faintest echo becomes a gentle guide, and the seeker learns the quiet truth of Apocrypha. That wisdom, even when forbidden, is most profound when embraced slowly, attentively, and with calm surrender. And so, amid the endless shelves, the reflective black waters, and the murmuring tomes, the seeker becomes part of the rhythm itself, a rhythm of gentle discovery, soft reflection, and patient understanding. The voices of the forbidden, once distant and mysterious, now flow into the mind like a lullaby, carrying both insight and solace. Here, the mortal spirit learns that knowledge is not to be conquered but to be cradled, not to be seized but to be felt softly, quietly, eternally. In the infinite corridors of Apocrypha, time flows differently, bending and folding like ink on water. Minutes, hours, and days lose their rigid meaning, replaced by a gentle rhythm that pulses in tandem with thought and reflection. Here, Hermaeus Mora's influence is felt most keenly, a soft, omnipresent guidance that shapes memory, perception, and understanding without haste or force. The mortal mind, unaccustomed to this pliable nature of time, finds itself floating, drifting between moments, past and future interlacing with exquisite subtlety. Memories, too, take on a new quality in this realm. They rise from the depths of consciousness, faint and fluid, like shadows on black water, mingling with the whispers of knowledge that fill the shelves. Long-forgotten experiences brush against the edges of the mind, reframed by the gentle currents of Apocrypha. Some are vivid, recalling joy, sorrow, or wonder. Others are fleeting, glimpses of questions once pondered or ideas only half-formed. All are softened, tempered by the meditative hush of the library, inviting reflection without judgment or urgency. Time here is not linear. It is a gentle, breathing presence that folds upon itself, allowing the seeker to experience moments simultaneously. Past mistakes, future possibilities, and present understanding intertwine in a delicate dance, each one informing the other in soft, unseen ways. To linger in this realm is to sense the endless nature of existence, yet also to feel a profound intimacy with each fleeting thought. There is a meditative comfort in this fluidity, a lullaby woven from the quiet pulses of memory and the infinite echoes of time. Hermaeus Mora's guidance is subtle, felt in the soft currents that flow through the shelves and across the black waters. The Daedric Prince does not command. He invites the mind to drift, to touch fragments of memory, to explore threads of thought without pressure. The act of recollection becomes a gentle meditation, each remembered moment a note in a quiet symphony that hums beneath the surface of consciousness. The seeker begins to understand that time itself is malleable, a companion rather than a constraint, and that the memories one carries are not fixed, but living, shifting, and alive. The floating tomes and whispering scrolls of Apocrypha participate in this rhythm. Each book carries echoes of the past, glimpses of futures not yet realized, and subtle suggestions for the present. As one moves among them, the mind learns to drift with patience, to let insights rise slowly, and to feel the gentle ebb and flow of understanding. Knowledge and memory merge, forming a quiet continuum that both soothes and enlightens. It is a place where the mind can release its urgency, let go of the linear concerns of the mortal world, and float freely in the soft embrace of infinite time. Even the reflective black waters mirror this fluidity, shimmering with faint glimpses of events yet to come and shadows of those long gone. To gaze upon them is to feel the pulse of eternity, a gentle rhythm that resonates within the heart, guiding each breath, each thought, each subtle motion. The mind begins to synchronize with this flow, and a profound calm arises, an understanding that time, like knowledge, is not something to be seized or controlled, but a current to move with soft, slow, and eternal. In this suspended moment, the mortal heart learns its first truth of time in Apocrypha. That patience reveals layers of understanding, that reflection uncovers hidden depths, and that memory is a river, never stagnant, always moving, carrying the mind gently toward insight, serenity, and the quiet embrace of infinite wisdom. As the seeker drifts further into Apocrypha, the currents of memory and time intertwine like ink merging on still water. Past and future fold gently into the present, revealing threads of possibility that shimmer faintly at the edges of thought. Each reflection is soft, never urgent, a delicate murmur that encourages contemplation rather than action. The mind begins to perceive patterns across moments, faint repetitions that form a gentle rhythm, a cadence that resonates with the pulse of the library and with the subtle guidance of Hermaeus Mora. Hermaeus Mora's influence is a quiet presence, felt in the tremor of turning pages and the faint vibration of floating shelves. He does not force comprehension. He allows understanding to arrive slowly, like mist drifting across black waters. The seeker experiences glimpses of what was, what might be, and what could exist in the folds of infinite potential. Each memory, each vision, flows naturally into the next, a soft continuum that teaches patience, observation, and trust in the subtle unfolding of knowledge. It is a meditation in motion, a gentle voyage through layers of thought and experience that might otherwise remain fragmented or overlooked. Time, as it is felt here, is a tapestry woven of many threads. Moments do not rush past. They linger, merge, and reflect upon one another. One may witness the rise and fall of empires, the quiet thoughts of scholars centuries past, or the faint outline of choices yet to be made. Each experience is softened by the gentle rhythm of Apocrypha, each revelation offered in increments that soothe the mind rather than overwhelm it. The Daedric Prince ensures that the seeker drifts with the currents of memory, aware of the interconnectedness of events, yet never burdened by their immensity. The black waters beneath the floating shelves mirror this gentle complexity, reflecting faint echoes of times long gone alongside possibilities that shimmer just beyond comprehension. Shadows move across the surfaces, curling and stretching as if breathing alongside the seeker, guiding the mind towards subtle insights. Even mistakes and missteps become soft lessons, patterns in the water that teach without admonition, encouraging reflection and calm awareness. Every ripple becomes a note in a quiet symphony of thought, guiding the mind gently through the continuum of time and memory. The tomes themselves respond to the seeker's attention, letters shifting imperceptibly, phrases bending to reveal meaning slowly, patiently. The mind learns to float with these subtle changes, absorbing insights without haste, following the rhythm of the library like a leaf on a gentle current. Here, every revelation is a meditation, each whisper a lullaby, and the seeker discovers a profound serenity in the slow unraveling of complex truths. The infinite tapestry of Apocrypha hums softly, wrapping the mind in a quiet embrace that encourages patience, reflection, and gentle understanding. And so, suspended between past, present, and future, the seeker drifts within the currents of Apocrypha. Memory and time become companions rather than constraints, guiding thought and heart in unhurried exploration. Each pulse of insight, each gentle wave of understanding, carries the listener deeper into the subtle, infinite embrace of Hermaeus Mora, a realm where time is soft, memory is alive, and wisdom unfolds like a quiet, eternal lullaby. Within the quiet depths of Apocrypha, secrets have a presence both subtle and profound. They do not shout, they do not demand attention. Instead, they linger like shadows along the edges of perception, inviting the seeker to lean closer, to listen, and to drift gently toward understanding. Every whispered truth carries weight, yet it moves with the delicacy of falling mist, touching the mind without urgency or force. Here, the act of seeking is itself a meditation, an exploration not only of knowledge, but of patience, trust, and gentle attention. Secrets in Apocrypha are alive in the softest sense. They shift like shadows on black waters, shimmer across floating shelves, and hum quietly in the corners of thought. Some are immediately accessible, like low-hanging fruit within reach of patient hands. Others resist direct comprehension, teasing the mind with half-formed visions, faint patterns, and elusive meanings. Yet even this resistance is a gentle guide, teaching the seeker that the value of hidden knowledge lies not in immediate grasp, but in the calm, deliberate pursuit of understanding. The Daedric Prince Hermaeus Mora embodies this philosophy perfectly. He does not hand over truth in torrents. Instead, he nurtures curiosity, allowing the mind to wander, to wonder, and to absorb in measured increments. To approach a secret is to participate in a quiet exchange, a dialogue of intuition and perception. The seeker learns to read between the lines of floating tomes, to feel the cadence of letters as they pulse with subtle significance, and to recognize that some truths reveal themselves only when one is truly ready to perceive them. In the hush of Apocrypha, the concept of secrecy takes on new dimensions. One begins to sense the infinite spectrum between the known and the unknown, a gradient that stretches into the void. Secrets are not merely facts to be obtained. They are living, breathing presences, each with its own rhythm, tone, and purpose. Some secrets soothe, offering clarity and gentle illumination. Others tease, hinting at deeper complexities that lie just beyond immediate understanding. And all are patient, awaiting the quiet attention of those who move with reverence through this realm of shadow and ink. The seeker's mind begins to align with this rhythm. Breathing slows, muscles relax, and thoughts drift freely like leaves carried on invisible currents. Each whisper of hidden knowledge resonates softly within, like echoes of distant stars in a silent night sky. Understanding comes in gentle waves, rising and falling in cadence with the subtle hum of Apocrypha itself. The mind learns the delicate balance of observation and restraint, curiosity and patience, reflection and surrender. A dance as old as time and as soft as the touch of ink on parchment. Even the most seemingly trivial secrets carry profound significance. A quiver of sound in the margin of a floating tome, the faint shimmer of letters in shifting light, or the gentle ripple of black waters below, all may contain insight for those who pause to notice. Hermaeus Mora's teachings are embedded in these subtleties, reminding the seeker that the journey of discovery is as important as the knowledge itself, and that the softest revelations often hold the deepest wisdom. And so, amid the reflective waters, drifting tomes, and soft hum of whispered words, the seeker learns the first lesson of Apocrypha, that secrets are not obstacles, but companions, that the pursuit of understanding is not a race, but a patient voyage, and that the soft cadence of quiet revelation can lull the mind as gently as a lullaby, carrying it ever deeper into the infinite embrace of knowledge, shadow, and subtle truth. As the seeker moves deeper into Apocrypha, the nature of secrets becomes increasingly palpable. They are no longer distant concepts or words upon a page. They take on presence, hovering like gentle shadows along the edges of perception. Some secrets reveal themselves fully, like soft sunlight spilling through a misted window, while others remain elusive, flickering at the periphery of consciousness. Each whisper encourages the mind to linger, to reflect, and to drift with patience, for the full measure of understanding is a journey, not a destination. Hermaeus Mora's subtle hand is ever present, guiding without intrusion, shaping the rhythm of discovery in ways that soothe rather than startle. Secrets appear and recede, not as puzzles to conquer, but as companions in a quiet dance. The mind learns to follow their ebb and flow, to read meaning not only in what is revealed, but in what remains veiled. In this soft interplay of concealment and illumination, the seeker feels the gentle pulse of the infinite, a rhythm that resonates with the quiet cadence of Apocrypha itself. Each partially understood truth carries a gentle resonance, a lullaby of thought that encourages reflection and calm. Letters on floating tomes shimmer subtly, hinting at patterns that are never fully formed, inviting the mind to pause, to breathe, to linger. The seeker begins to perceive the delicate architecture of hidden knowledge, the spaces between words, the gentle alignment of shadows and light, the slow unfolding of meaning that cannot be rushed. Understanding becomes a meditation, a quiet act of communion with the eternal, patient presence of the Prince of Secrets. Even the black waters below respond to this rhythm. They ripple faintly with recognition, reflecting not only the seeker's form, but the patterns of thought and curiosity, mirroring the subtle motion of discovery. Each ripple carries a soft echo of insight, a gentle nudge to explore, to notice, to attune to the quiet currents of knowledge that flow through the vast expanse of Apocrypha. The mind drifts freely, buoyed by these tender reminders that secrets are to be approached with reverence, care, and calm patience. The emotional resonance of hidden truths becomes clear in this space. Curiosity and awe mingle with subtle caution, a gentle awareness that some knowledge carries weight beyond comprehension. Yet even this caution is not fearful. It is reflective, a soft companion that encourages mindfulness and quiet reflection. Each secret, whether revealed fully or partially, is a gift of gentle illumination, a whisper that both invites and protects, teaching the seeker the slow rhythm of discovery that Mora himself has cultivated. Through this meditative interplay, the mind begins to perceive a deeper truth, that concealment is not denial, and revelation is not possession. Every secret encountered, every fragment understood, contributes to a serene awareness that wisdom unfolds in quiet, unhurried layers. The seeker drifts through corridors and floating tomes, absorbing patterns, shadows, and whispers, learning to navigate the delicate currents of understanding without haste, and allowing the soft cadence of Apocrypha to lull the mind toward calm, reflective contemplation. And so, enveloped in a muted glow of shifting letters, the ripple of black waters, and the hushed resonance of floating tomes, the seeker comes to know the essence of secrets. They are gentle teachers, patient companions, and timeless guides. Their whispers lull the mind as surely as the softest lullaby, carrying it deeper into the infinite embrace of Hermaeus Mora, a realm where knowledge, shadow, and subtle truth flow together in serene, eternal harmony. Within the endless halls of Apocrypha, the seeker is not alone. Shadows move with purpose, floating silently among the shelves and black waters, revealing themselves as guardians of knowledge, ever watchful yet gentle. They are neither hostile nor demanding, but custodians of the infinite truths that reside here. Their presence is subtle, a soft rhythm in the corner of perception, a quiet reassurance that every step through the labyrinth is guided, observed, and protected. The guardians take many forms, some almost imperceptible. Shadows stretch and shift with the cadence of floating tomes, appearing as delicate wisps of ink caught in motion. Others resemble indistinct figures, their outlines blurred, gliding along the corridors as though moving with the very currents of Apocrypha. They do not interact overtly. Rather, they encourage the seeker to move mindfully, to observe the patterns in the environment, and to attune to the gentle flow of thought and knowledge that surrounds them. Hermaeus Mora's influence is woven through these custodians, guiding their movements with soft purpose. They are extensions of his will, not as enforcers but as subtle companions, teaching the seeker the rhythm of observation and reflection. Each ripple in the black waters, each flicker of shadow, is a quiet prompt to pause, to notice, to engage gently with the tomes and scrolls that float endlessly in the half-light. The guardians exist to remind the seeker that knowledge is precious, fragile, and best approached with patience and care. Their presence also reinforces a meditative awareness. Every movement through Apocrypha becomes a deliberate act, each breath synchronized with the soft cadence of guardians drifting past. The mind relaxes, allowing thoughts to slow and drift freely as the subtle, almost imperceptible currents of shadow and light guide the seeker's attention. Even the smallest detail, a shifting shadow, the faint vibration of a hovering tome, can carry profound significance if noticed with calm attentiveness. Some guardians hum faintly with hidden resonance, a sound that is felt more than heard. It flows through the seeker like a gentle wave, brushing against the edges of thought, coaxing understanding and reflection. These murmurs are not instructions, nor commands. They are invitations. They invite the seeker to observe, to ponder, to engage in a quiet dialogue with the library itself. Knowledge here is alive, and the guardians serve as conduits, ensuring that discovery remains gentle, slow, and deliberate. The seeker gradually perceives the balance maintained by these silent custodians. Knowledge flows, but it does so under the guidance of careful, patient stewardship. The guardians move like currents in a river, subtle and unseen, yet shaping the path of the seeker's journey with quiet precision. Their presence instills calm, a soft assurance that the voyage through Apocrypha is safe, deliberate, and meditative. Even as one drifts among floating tomes and shifting letters, the Guardian's silent vigilance creates a sense of harmony, a rhythm of trust, patience, and quiet reflection. In this space, the Seeker discovers the first lesson of Apocrypha's guardians, that wisdom is not to be seized hurriedly, nor hidden without reason. It is to be honored, observed, and approached with reverence. The Guardian's gentle guidance is a lullaby in motion, a quiet presence that teaches calmness, attentiveness, and the serene flow of discovery. Here, amid shadow and black waters, the mind begins to understand the tender, meditative pulse that shapes the infinite realm of Hermaeus Mora, where knowledge, patience, and gentle guidance are one. As the Seeker drifts deeper through the labyrinth of Apocrypha, the Guardian's presence becomes increasingly tangible. They glide silently along floating shelves and over black, reflective waters, their forms subtle, almost ephemeral, yet undeniably present. Each shadow, each ripple, each faint hum resonates softly with the mind, creating a rhythm that synchronizes with the Seeker's thoughts and breathing. It is a presence both calming and instructive, an invisible hand guiding the pace of discovery and the flow of understanding. The Guardians do not intervene directly. They do not speak or command, nor do they obstruct. Instead, they shape the environment with gentle precision. A floating tome shifts slightly to draw attention. Letters shimmer faintly in response to lingering curiosity, and shadows move in delicate patterns that suggest pathways, connections, and possibilities. The Seeker begins to perceive that these subtle cues are the Guardian's quiet language, teaching observation, patience, and the art of gentle engagement with knowledge. Hermaeus Mora's influence suffuses their movements. Each Guardian is an extension of his will, a custodian of the balance between revelation and restraint. They are there not to frighten or test, but to cultivate mindfulness and reflection. In the hush of Apocrypha, the Seeker becomes attuned to these subtle lessons. Knowledge is not conquered by haste, wisdom is not seized by force, and the journey through understanding is as significant as the truths themselves. Every gentle motion of a Guardian is a whisper, a soft suggestion that guides attention without insistence. Even the black waters respond to their presence. Ripples spread softly, mirroring the subtle undulations of floating shadows and shifting tomes. Each reflection is a quiet echo of the Guardian's influence, a visual rhythm that resonates with the Seeker's awareness. As the mind drifts with this ebb and flow, thoughts untangle. Curiosity is tempered with calm, and the heart senses the infinite patience embedded in Apocrypha's design. Every ripple, every shimmer, every silent gesture becomes a meditation in itself. The Seeker gradually perceives that these custodians are not mere protectors of knowledge. They are teachers of perception, patience, and presence. The Guardian's soft vigilance illustrates that wisdom is found not in rapid acquisition, but in quiet observation and gentle interaction. Every shadow, every subtle movement, every faint vibration carries meaning, guiding the mind toward understanding while simultaneously allowing it to rest, to float, and to absorb insight without strain. In the vast expanse of Apocrypha, the Guardians embody the perfect balance of watchfulness and gentleness. Their presence creates a serene environment where every discovery, no matter how small, feels sacred and meaningful. The Seeker begins to internalize this rhythm, letting the subtle currents of guardianship shape their exploration. Thoughts slow, awareness deepens, and a quiet harmony settles in the mind. A lullaby of shadows, floating tomes, and soft reflection that carries the Seeker further into the infinite, meditative embrace of Hermaeus Mora. And so, drifting among the Guardian's silent guidance, the Seeker comes to understand a profound truth, that knowledge is safest when tempered with patience, most illuminating when approached with reverence, and most profound when absorbed slowly, in rhythm with the quiet, eternal presence of Apocrypha itself. Here, amid shadows, rippling waters, and floating shelves, the mind learns to rest, to drift, and to awaken gently to the subtle pulse of infinite wisdom. The corridors of Apocrypha stretch and bend, twisting in ways that defy mortal logic. Every step carries the seeker deeper into a labyrinth where the architecture itself seems alive, responsive to thought, breath, and the quiet pulse of attention. Shelves rise impossibly high, archways curve like ribbons of shadow, and the reflective black waters below ripple in subtle, unpredictable patterns. Each turn is both familiar and strange, a soft reminder that this place exists beyond conventional understanding of space and time. The labyrinth is not meant to confuse or frighten. It is a meditative environment, a space that encourages the mind to slow and observe. Paths fold upon themselves, corridors loop back in gentle repetition, and staircases appear to float, suspended by unseen currents. The seeker begins to notice patterns in the chaos, subtle alignments of floating tomes, rhythmic shifts in shadow, the quiet pulse of letters shimmering on pages. These patterns create a calm, hypnotic cadence, a rhythm that guides thought without force, encouraging gentle reflection and focused observation. Hermaeus Mora's presence suffuses every corner of the labyrinth. It is not a looming figure, but a subtle awareness embedded in the curves of corridors, the undulations of black waters, and the slow drift of floating tomes. The Prince of Knowledge shapes the space to nurture patience and attentiveness. Each turn, each corridor, is both an invitation and a lullaby, a gentle suggestion to pause, to absorb, and to explore without haste. Here, the mind learns that wandering is not aimless. It is itself a form of meditation, a slow unfolding of awareness in harmony with infinite, subtle design. Even the shadows play a role in this serene journey. They stretch and curl in harmony with the floating shelves, sometimes merging with letters on tomes, sometimes forming delicate patterns in the black water below. Each movement is purposeful yet gentle, an unspoken dialogue between space and seeker. The mind is coaxed to follow these soft cues, noticing alignment, symmetry, and repetition in the labyrinth's subtle architecture. Slowly, awareness shifts from a linear perception of space to a meditative sense of flow, rhythm, and possibility. The floating tomes themselves seem to respond to the labyrinth's rhythm. Letters shimmer and rearrange as the seeker approaches, revealing fragments of thought, glimpses of distant events, or subtle reflections on infinite knowledge. Comprehension does not arrive all at once. Instead, it comes in gentle waves, like the ripple of water across a still surface. Each revelation is soft, patient, and ephemeral, teaching the mind the delicate art of observation without urgency, discovery without pressure, and reflection without demand. In this infinite maze, the seeker begins to understand the true nature of Apocrypha. It is a place not of challenge or trial, but of calm, meditative discovery. The labyrinth shapes thought without constraining it, guides attention without enforcing it, and soothes the mind while nurturing awareness. Every corridor, arch, and shelf becomes a gentle companion, leading the seeker through a space that exists beyond the ordinary, a place where knowledge, patience, and reflection flow together in a slow, eternal rhythm. And so, moving through the quiet folds of the infinite labyrinth, the mind learns the first lesson of its design, that wandering is not disorientation, but attunement, that the twisting corridors are lullabies for the mind, and that every soft echo, every floating tome, and every ripple in the black waters contributes to a meditative voyage deeper into the infinite embrace of Hermaeus Mora. As the seeker wanders further, the labyrinth reveals its deeper mysteries. Corridors fold upon themselves like ink spreading in water. Stairways seem to ascend and descend simultaneously, and arches curve in impossible angles. The reflective black waters ripple in quiet response to each step, mirroring thoughts and subtly altering perception. This is a space where the mind drifts freely, untethered from linear expectations, and where the ordinary constraints of direction and distance dissolve into a gentle, meditative flow. The illusions of Apocrypha are not meant to disorient, but to guide. Shadows stretch and merge with floating tomes, forming soft, hypnotic patterns that draw the eye and mind into attentive observation. Letters shimmer and shift on pages, revealing fragments of thought, half-formed visions, or fleeting glimpses of distant knowledge. Each subtle motion teaches patience. Comprehension comes not all at once, but in quiet, unfolding waves, inviting the mind to linger, reflect, and absorb without urgency. Hermaeus Mora's presence is felt in every fold and curve of the labyrinth. It is a gentle, pervasive awareness, guiding without pressing, teaching the seeker the rhythm of exploration. Each corridor and floating shelf carries a subtle resonance, a pulse that aligns with the seeker's thoughts and breath. The mind learns to synchronize with this flow, drifting along currents of shadow, light, and ink, discovering that the labyrinth itself is alive in a meditative sense, responsive to curiosity, yet calm and unhurried. Even the black waters serve as guides. They mirror the seeker's form with faint distortions, reflecting not only the physical presence, but the patterns of thought and attention. Ripples expand gently, suggesting direction, hinting at subtle alignments, and encouraging reflection. Each ripple is a whisper, a soft encouragement to move thoughtfully, to observe carefully, and to allow understanding to unfold naturally. The labyrinth teaches that awareness is both destination and journey, and that the path itself is as meaningful as any revelation found within it. The floating tomes and shifting letters create a quiet symphony of discovery. Words and symbols rearrange with the seeker's attention, forming transient patterns that dissolve as the mind absorbs their meaning. These ephemeral glimpses of knowledge feel like gentle waves lapping against the consciousness, teaching the delicate balance between observation and comprehension, curiosity and restraint. The labyrinth encourages the mind to flow without resistance, embracing the soft cadence of insight rather than rushing toward certainty. In this infinite space, the seeker experiences a profound sense of calm. Time loses rigidity, thought becomes fluid, and every subtle movement of shadow, water, and floating ink reinforces the meditative rhythm. The labyrinth is both guide and companion, a vessel for reflection and gentle awareness. Here, the mind discovers the essential truth of Apocrypha, that wisdom is not seized but drifted toward, that understanding is not forced but absorbed, and that the soft, endless currents of shadow, water, and whispering tones can cradle thought as surely as a lullaby cradles sleep. And so, drifting through the endless, mind-bending corridors, the seeker comes to know the quiet majesty of the infinite labyrinth. It is a space of calm, attentive wandering, a sanctuary for reflection and subtle discovery, and a gentle passage into the meditative embrace of Hermaeus Mora, where the mind floats freely among shadows, letters, and black waters, ever guided by the rhythm of patient, infinite knowledge. At the heart of Apocrypha, the seeker finds a space that seems to exist beyond boundaries, a sanctuary where shadows, floating tomes, and black reflective waters converge in serene harmony. Here, the very air hums with gentle resonance, carrying faint whispers of knowledge, memory, and possibility. Each ripple in the water, each quiver of a letter on a page, becomes part of a soft symphony, guiding the mind toward calm, attentive reflection. The infinite is not overwhelming here. It is a gentle embrace, patient and unhurried, inviting the seeker to sink into the quiet rhythm of the realm. Hermaeus Mora's presence permeates this space, felt not as force, but as subtle, enveloping awareness. It is the sensation of being both observed and protected, of drifting with the currents of thought and shadow, safe in the meditative folds of the infinite. The seeker's mind slows, breath deepens, and awareness stretches outward, expanding with each gentle pulse of insight. Knowledge here flows like a soft tide, ebbing and rising in measured cadence, revealing fragments of understanding that soothe rather than challenge, comfort rather than alarm. The black waters below reflect infinite corridors, floating tomes, and soft shadows, each layer folding upon the next in a delicate interplay of light and dark. The mind drifts with these reflections, perceiving subtle patterns, fleeting connections, and gentle harmonies between memory, thought, and possibility. Even the faintest ripple becomes a point of meditation, a subtle guide to observe without haste, to follow without urgency, and to let understanding settle like a gentle weight upon consciousness. Floating tomes respond to the seeker's attention, their letters shimmering in quiet patterns that invite contemplation. Some passages seem to pulse with soft rhythm, like heartbeats echoing in shadowed corridors. Others dissolve into gentle whispers, leaving only faint traces of meaning that linger in the mind, like echoes in a deep cavern. The act of noticing becomes a meditation, the mind learning the delicate art of absorption without strain, reflection without effort, and discovery without pressure. Here, time seems to dissolve entirely. Past and future fold seamlessly into the present, allowing the seeker to experience each moment as infinite yet intimately connected. Memories surface gently, visions of possibility appear and recede, and the soft hum of floating letters creates a cadence that soothes and guides. Understanding is gradual, patient, and tender, a slow unveiling that mirrors the ebb and flow of the black waters, the gentle shifting of shadow, and the soft rhythm of thought itself. The infinite embrace of Apocrypha teaches the seeker the quiet beauty of surrender. Knowledge is not a prize to be seized. It is a companion to be drifted toward, a current in which the mind floats freely. Each pulse of the environment, each shimmer of letters, each ripple of water, is a lullaby for consciousness, a reminder that wisdom unfolds gently, infinitely, and without haste. The heart and mind relax, attuning to the soft, eternal cadence of shadow, ink, and reflection. And so, in this sanctuary of the infinite, the seeker begins to feel the first profound truth of Apocrypha, that immersion is not overwhelm, that reflection is not effort, and that to drift gently within the folds of infinite knowledge is to experience serenity, wisdom, and the quiet, meditative embrace of Hermaeus Mora himself. As the seeker drifts deeper into the heart of Apocrypha, a profound stillness envelopes the mind. The corridors, floating tomes, and black reflective waters coalesce into a seamless, infinite rhythm. Each gentle ripple, each shimmer of letters, each subtle movement of shadow becomes part of a quiet, meditative symphony. The mind flows effortlessly with the currents of knowledge, absorbing the soft cadence of understanding without strain, worry, or haste. Here, immersion itself becomes a gentle practice, a lullaby for thought and consciousness. Hermaeus Mora's presence is tender, omnipresent yet unobtrusive. It is the sensation of guidance without insistence, of awareness without interference, a soft companion that whispers rather than commands. The seeker's mind floats freely, expanding and contracting with the gentle rhythm of Apocrypha. Time itself seems to soften, past and future merging into the present moment, where every memory, every vision, every fleeting fragment of knowledge is tenderly reflected upon. This is the meditative pulse of the infinite, a rhythm that encourages calm absorption and reflective serenity. The floating tomes respond to the seeker's attention with a delicate grace. Letters rearrange softly, passages shimmer and fade, and faint patterns emerge only to dissolve again. These ephemeral glimpses of understanding teach the mind patience and attentiveness, revealing that the act of discovery is as vital as the knowledge itself. The labyrinth of shadow and ink encourages observation without haste, reflection without tension, and awareness that every whisper of insight carries a gentle invitation rather than a demand. Even the black waters beneath the floating shelves mirror the rhythm of thought. Ripples expand slowly, reflecting not only the physical presence of the seeker, but also the subtle currents of curiosity, wonder, and contemplation. Shadows ripple along with them, intertwining with floating tomes, creating soft symmetries that guide perception. The mind drifts within this interplay, learning the gentle art of navigation through infinite knowledge, where each movement, each observation, and each moment of quiet reflection carries meaning. The heart learns to attune to the gentle cadence of Apocrypha. Each inhalation and exhalation aligns with the soft pulse of the infinite library. Knowledge is received as a gift, not seized. Understanding unfolds gradually, like waves lapping softly against the shore. The seeker senses the balance of revelation and restraint, the beauty of partial comprehension, and the serenity that comes from surrendering to the rhythm of shadow, ink, and reflective water. And so, immersed in this eternal, soft expanse, the seeker comes to know the deepest truth of Apocrypha, that infinity is not overwhelming, but gentle, that knowledge is not burden, but lullaby, and that to float, to reflect, and to surrender to the currents of shadow, memory, and light is to experience the serene embrace of Hermaeus Mora himself. The journey concludes not with finality, but with quiet understanding, a meditative resonance that lulls the mind into calm, reflective peace, carrying the seeker gently toward rest.